and Red Wing tickets for their game at LCA on Saturday night. Listen for that. Got a conversation about Halloween parties a little later in the show. Michigan State rivalry on Saturday night. We've been talking about them. And John, we've had a day to process this Chauncey Billups stuff.
Yeah, with more information that came out. Obviously, it broke during our show, but then we had to watch and learn as everybody was charged or not yesterday.
Chauncey Billups arrested. We knew that yesterday morning. Involved with the mafia, poker tournaments, illegal poker tournaments, and then the details were wild. You're talking about like special X-ray technology used to scam these people at these poker tournaments. And then we wondered, okay, well, this is an NBA head coach. Is there any connection at all to what's going on the court? And in the DOJ report, they reference a co-conspirator 8, which looks like, sounds like, smells like Chauncey Billups, a player who played in the NBA from 1997 to 2014, who was an NBA coach starting in 2021, a resident of Oregon, where the Portland Trailblazers are. Sounds like Chauncey Billups, and then they would later detail how he gave game plan information of who was playing and not playing ahead of games to somebody.
Right, and the question is, who's that somebody, and what relationship were they to Chauncey Billups? I mean, these are all just questions that obviously they will come out, whether, there is, if he takes a plea deal, maybe we won't hear. But, I mean, if you hear from both lawyers, like both guys are, have been wrongfully accused and framed. So I don't know. This is kind of one of those situations where unless you have the full context and have all the evidence, it's hard to say. All indications point towards how could it possibly not be that he gave insider information and knew it? Or how could it not be he sat down at the poker table and knew what was going on?
So what I'd like to do is just reset where everybody's at with Chauncey and how you feel about him. He's a hero to a lot of people. He's an NBA Hall of Famer. He's a Pistons legend. How do you feel about him as you've processed this and maybe read a little bit or are hearing more about it this morning? And then there's the question of, put you in the shoes of Adam Silver. You're the commissioner of the NBA. This is optically a terrible look, right? Where you have players and a coach wrapped up with the mafia and the mob, and the FBI is arresting them. What do you do to help the image of your game? Because it is being harmed today. 248-539-9797. I know people have thrown out, do you just eliminate prop bets? To, hey, that's something that can too easily be manipulated, right? Should athletes and coaches be banned entirely from gambling, period? To help the image and appearance of what's going on the court. What are the solutions if you're Adam Silver? I mean, you have to deal with anybody who's guilty swiftly. I think it's a zero tolerance policy. You're gone because you can't have people questioning the results of what they're watching.
Right. And I think the other question for the NBA is, all right, Terry Rozier was investigated back in 23. And the NBA found that there wasn't enough to take any steps in regards to his participation in further games. Then it comes out, now that the FBI has found that evidence, I think it raises the question of what was the NBA doing in their investigation? How did they not know? Because they cleared him. They allowed him to keep playing.
Yeah.
And then the FBI comes out yesterday and says, hold on a second here. Like, it was legit. Per their evidence.
Right.
And so, yeah, I think there's a huge credibility issue. And there's a lot of people, and those of us that want to believe that this is a one-off, that this isn't going on. Like, it's really hard to sit there and say, okay, if is this just the tip of the iceberg?
Well, that's the other thing. You don't want to be naive either.
Right.
You don't want to believe this is happening because you love watching sports and you don't want to question the authenticity, the integrity of what you're watching, but you also don't want to be a naive guy going, hold on, am I supposed to believe this is the only thing? The only people? And so if I'm the NBA, look, I like prop bets, but if the trade-off was they got to go so that people can still freely bet on games and have the markets be be fair, I would take that as the trade-off.
Well, I think I don't think prop bets are going away. I don't think that all of the apps, the legal ways of betting on sports in the states where it's legal, I don't think that they're going to take those away because it's too profitable. We're talking about huge sums of money. Even if, and I know Adam Silver came out last week when he was on McAfee and talked about the fact that, hey, maybe we do have to have this conversation with our partners because they are in bed with the books and say, no more prop bets. But I think there's too much money for the books to say no. And if that's the case, whatever they find in this situation, whatever evidence points to, they need to drop the hammer hard. And it's not just on bans. It's the amount of time that they spend behind bars.
How does this change the way you view Chauncey Billups? Like, is his legacy ruined? He's an NBA Hall of Famer. I don't know what the Hall of Fame's going to do. He's a jersey hanging in the rafters at Little Caesars Arena. I don't know what the Pistons are going to do. But just how you view him as his legacy.
Well, I think first, all of them are going to wait and see how the evidence stacks up and what a jury or a court of law eventually says.
So for me, I believe he's the most beloved player from the Going to Work Pistons. I do.
1A, 1B with Ben Wallace in my eyes.
I think the Ben stuff waned because he left for free agency a little bit. I would have put Chauncey on the list just below John Beilein in terms of people I never, ever thought would do something like this. Meaning, I think John Beilein would never, ever have a scandal. If John Beilein has a scandal, I think I might quit life, okay? Because I think he's a genuine dude. Mm-hmm. There's very few people I put in that category. But Chauncey would be in the group of people just below that I never, ever, ever would have thought something this crummy, horrible. What he did to people. Think about what he did to people here. Yeah. Now, it's alleged, and I agree with John. You got to let this thing play out a little bit. But when the feds go here and you're putting these kind of mafia people into this, it's usually they got the goods. In fact, you might end up seeing some people disappear here.
Yeah, I mean, sure. I don't like to think about that, but yes. I mean, we're talking about four families of the mafia all named and referenced here. I told you that co-defendant 8 was the one that was giving away some information about the team before it was public. The person he told it to is Eric Ernest, who is named as a defendant in this FBI probe. Eric Ernest is a 53-year-old St. Louis resident known as Spook, according to the indictments. He's allegedly among the poker cheating teams and is accused of using insider information to bet on NBA games. So this is someone in would appear to be a pretty nefarious position.
Right.
And co-defendant 8 is giving this person privileged information.
Right, but did co-defendant 8, when he gave that information to him, did he know that that's how this information was going to be used?
Well, it sounds like he's seen him at some poker tournaments.
Right, but again,
which were illegal poker tournaments with the mafia.
Right. And again,
I'm not trying to paint you as a defender of Chauncey. You're asking fair questions.
I'm trying to play devil's advocate because I think there are going to be a lot of people that look at Chauncey because of how beloved he was here. And I'm trying not to be that guy because it could be that all of this is true. It's just hard to believe that it is.
What's the saying? Never meet your heroes. People aren't always what they appear to be publicly.
Yeah.
I mean, what we're seeing here is the FBI has linked Chauncey Billups to illegal poker tournaments with the mafia. People at those poker tournaments were then being fed information by co-defendant 8, who played in the NBA from 1997 to 2014, who lives in Oregon currently and has been a coach since 2021.
Right, but this is this Ernest guy. Is that his first name or like Ernie Ernest?
Eric Ernest.
Eric Ernest. Did Chauncey know that was his role? Was Ernest's role with the mafia?
I mean, I guess Chauncey's only defense is that he was ignorant to all of this.
Right. And it's hard to believe that if you're sitting at a table with
Poor Chauncey's so helpless in all of this.
Well, but I also don't think that at the poker table, I don't think you have the heads of the crime families that are sitting there playing poker with him.
And they probably don't wear name tags either.
Right.
Hi, I'm Mafia member 1. Hi, I work for the mob.
Right.
But I also some of this.
You can't just always claim ignorance.
Exactly. You have to use your brain too, and this is bad for Chauncey. So we'll throw the number out to you guys, 248-539-9797. There's two pieces of this. There's the Chauncey piece and how you view a hero in this city and an NBA Hall of Famer as you read and learn more about it. And then there's the bigger picture about how Adam Silver and these leagues deal with growing doubts and concerns from their customers. It's 97.1.